It was a crazy 6 weeks. Scott Walker, brand new governor in Wisconsin, dropped a bomb a month into his administration, proposing to eliminate collective bargaining rights for public employees in Wisconsin, a right that had been protected for 50 years. Within days, we had tens of thousands of people on the Capitol Square, not only rallied around the Capitol during the day, but then at night, spent the night in the Capitol for nights on end, weeks on end. They eventually brought in sleeping bags. They turned the Capitol basically into a protest village.
You can never escape the noise, the drumming, the chanting, the yelling. It gets old really quick. Imagine living in an orchestra pit during warm-ups for 20 days straight.
It was very difficult to move around because there were so many people.
A lot of the time, it wasn't really an option to get back to our desk to file something. So I would be calling in updates. Sometimes it was so loud that I couldn't call in an update, so I'd tweet an update and email it to an editor to make sure that they saw it.
We've been doing this for a while, this kind of tweeting and sending and editing video. But there was something really remarkable about that particular set of events because you were so at the middle of it.
Has passed it through and it's gone to the Senate floor and passed 18-1.
We had stories breaking every day, not one, not two, but 5 or 6 stories. And the breaking news happened from 5 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the morning. We had to staff this thing almost around the clock. I mean, who would have thought our legislators would flee Wisconsin, not only for a day, but for 3 weeks. It was unprecedented.
Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
You know, at one point we had 9 reporters in the field and 3 photographers, and I think they were almost all of them tweeting, many of them on Facebook.
During the 2 months of February and March, Facebook was our #1 preferrer by a lot. Drudge Report was #5.
We had a live blog, and we had people filing reports from the field. The live blog was a huge hit.
We get a fair amount of traffic, but it was just astronomically higher during all of this, and it was people who had never been to us before.
The best example I saw of where real-time reporting was really impacting people and making a difference was the night that the Senate decided to strip out what they called the financial components of the bill and pass it without the Democratic senators there. It went from just retweeting what we said with an addition of get to the Capitol now, they're trying to pass it tonight, and we could see people outside running for the Capitol. It's amazing to think that before we all had iPhones and Twitter, that some people might have heard about it, but a lot of people would have read about it the next day in their morning paper. Instead, they were all there that night to watch it happen.
We had a photo gallery a day, and we probably could have had multiple photo galleries. And they were getting tens of thousands of views, each of them, every day.
I was one of only about a handful of photographers and reporters that were in the assembly antechamber when police started dragging them out physically. The whole protest movement had never really gone that course. It had never gotten that physical. And I was one of the few people that actually got to witness it and capture those moments and alert, the public that this was happening.
I was elected to get this state working again. I was elected to show that we could do things that would make the business climate better, to create more jobs in the state, and ultimately to get this state working again by balancing the budget.
To advance the story, we needed to tell the broader story. We needed to go in depth at the same time as we were telling the breaking news. We were able to take some people out of this raging stream of breaking news and put them aside and have them work on some of these stories longer term. We also decided to put together a team whose sole focus would be to look at the larger picture of organized labor, collective bargaining, and the future of unions. And that team involved pulling an assistant editor off of his duties as an assistant editor, and we made him a reporter again.
I feel like all of us there felt like it was more than just a story that we were covering. And I remember seeing somebody who I think has covered the Capitol for almost 40 years now, and at one point he said, "We're not covering news anymore, we're covering history." And I think a lot of us felt like at a certain point it wasn't just a story, this was going to go down in history books.